Let's just go and hold on.
Your kid's gonna be addicts soon.
Okay.
Oh, you're telling us to stop singing
Yeah,
about
hold
our
on.
gay relationship.
We're live.
Yeah, we're alive. That's why I was
Thank
like,
you.
shh.
In the cat.
Justin, I appreciate that.
And then I
It's
said
not
to
your
you,
fault.
sir, I'm only giving you this money because I believe I'm here to do something greater than myself.
Oh,
I'm
no.
a selfless man. And he said, I applaud you. And everybody applauded. Anyways, I don't want to make sure to bring that up on there.
Okay, we're live.
Oh my
Anyway,
God. How embarrassing. How embarrassing.
Yeah,
My charitable work.
Yeah,
has
we
been
were
revealed.
live. So, hey, as I try and figure this out. Okay.
Are we not live?
Yes, we are.
Oh.
It was just because I was going through multiple screens. So I was like, oh, what? Anyway. Disregard that whole
That's so embarrassing that people heard about my charitable work. I'm so sorry.
I wish they don't know about penis hands.
Anyway, hey everyone, and welcome back to Episode Club. Today we're going to be talking about Westworld Season 3, Episode 5, Genre. And boy, was this a crazy episode. We got death, drama, drugs, and a whole bunch of, well, I guess, free people. So, joining me today is Justin Thomas from TopShelf Fandom, as well as Johnny B. Crazy, also known as House of the Conqueror. How are you guys doing today?
Good. Drugs, music, a little bit of getting shot on the beach. You know,
Drugs have been said twice, now 3 times. So every time we say the word drugs 4 times, take a shot. Thank you.
Yeah, but not a hypodermic. Don't use liquor.
Yeah.
Don't pull a Steve-O. Yeah, no IVs.
Yeah.
Never go full Steve-O. Steeled 510 rain. Guess what I'm going to do today? I'm not going to mute you by accident. I'm not going to. I'm going to try to maintain my patronage. I want to get the $50 once in my life. So no, I can't thank you enough for your support, and I'll be quiet now because Mackenzie L. Burns is about to take it away. She listened to us sing "Cats in the Cradle" adaptions for the last 15 minutes. Sorry.
It's okay. Everything that happens pre-stream is fine. So how did before we get into, obviously, the delves of this episode, how overall did you think about this one? I know, Justin, you said on your live stream on Sunday it wasn't your favorite, but has that changed since your rewatch?
How I thought about it is with my brain, and that I thought it was okay at first, but when I watched it again, there's a lot of info there. And I like just not letting Justin talk because I'm the dominant and he's the sub. And that's just how this works. But Justin, you go ahead and speak now.
That's why I work so well, Daddy. But no, I admittedly, well, tech issues come up sometimes, especially with this new system I'm running. And Sunday night, I really haven't had a live stream that I've looked back on and been. Not that it was terrible, but I was ashamed with my performance, and I was not as keen to the plot points as I usually am because I literally missed 20 minutes of the episode. I had to go live, and I felt like it got to be a little bit of discombobulated stream. But after a rewatch and then a podcast with taking over the theory cast for now for the next 2 weeks for W. Axel Foley, I've really found a lot about this episode that I like. It wasn't that I didn't like it as first; it was that I literally didn't see major parts of it, so it was what it was.
My favorite scene was when the motorcycle killed itself.
Mm-hmm.
I have to say.
Yeah, definitely. It happens every day.
OTDA. Everything that happens before stream is fine. What Kenzie is saying is, don't you dare try singing live, Justin and Johnny.
With a silver spoon. Sorry. Okay.
Hey, I've heard people that think they can sound worse than Justin. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. Exactly. So, DA is in
Thank
the
you.
chat, as always. Steel 510 Rain.
That's passive aggressive comments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm sad. But yeah, John,
some
right
person named TopShelf Fandom, also another person named House of the Conqueror is here. I don't know who they are, but they're in the chat. As well as Danny
Look,
McKay.
I'm tired of you not knowing who the hell we are. Okay.
Yeah, you need to put that.
I get what?
Yeah, people are gonna think like you got like some like you're gonna get committed. All right, you got to be careful. Yeah, they're big. She doesn't know. I don't think it's a joke anymore. And we just stay here with our stern, deadpan faces, not doing you any favors. So yeah, we're not playing along. But
Huh?
Yeah, if we don't try.
yeah, Yeah, nothing
Sorry.
funnier than a
Sorry.
bunch
Thank
of
you.
clowns.
Florida.
Let me just say the first point, because I
Yes.
want to get this going for us, and I feel like I just held us up, and I don't want a repeat of Sunday or anything like that.
No.
And I don't want to be to blame. So genre is something I find to be very interesting because it's all about experiencing these dual experiences that are yes, you're amongst groups of people, but there are so many altered states that you can find yourself in that can make these situations in which you are experiencing, like again in a group experience, that can be significantly different than what the others are perceiving. So I think it was another play on that, and I think that, I know we were talking about it before, and you're going to get into Mackenzie, like a lot happened on this train ride and this trip, and I think it was perfectly played into it because a lot of like significant things happened here, and if there wouldn't have been this altered state of mind by Caleb, gotta had to do his drugs. He just had to do them. No, obviously he was stuck. But, I think that there would have been more questions asked, and I guess that's another question, then I'll shut up. Would there have been more questions asked? Because I think there's been too many things left just unsaid between Caleb and Dolores at this point.
Yeah. It's one of
Yeah, Caleb doesn't know what a question is.
Yeah, he's trying to
Take that, Trebek.
Yeah, he's trying to like figure out who she is, but that's part of part of the question actually. So we pick up, obviously with the Sarek in the background of Insight, but we'll get to that in a little bit. But we pick up though with Dolores, Caleb, and Liam. And Liam is now wearing a shirt that says basic, which I guess proves eventually what happens on the beach. But we see that Caleb gets knocked with genre. What do you think about genre? And although Caleb's in the last stage, which is reality, Dolores takes 4 bullets for him. Does this make him question reality, like a full circle moment of, have you ever questioned the nature of your reality? Even Bernard asked that question to Connells / Dolores of, have you ever questioned what she's really asking of you? Which, in the previews for this episode, they were saying, like, it was overlaid to think that was Caleb. Bernard was asking Caleb that question.
Classic L cut in audio for the trailer. It's where you loop the audio from another scene under. It's classic deception. I think that, what do we start off with? Film noir, right, Mackenzie, for our first genre?
It's known. So I was trying to figure that out. I thought it was film noir, but it's actually considered as, in the order that Erin Paul puts it in the behind the scenes, it's horror, action, suspense, romance, and then reality.
That seems, it seems like it's definitely noir, but I mean, if that's, the change to the, to the lighting, in the change with the dynamic between them, I thought it was noir, so I can only interpret it the way I can interpret it, and then I will listen to Jesse Pinkman later. I am not dismissing it. I just put horror at The Shining at the end.
He smoked a lot of meth, though. Let's be honest.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, come on. So. Yeah, what I've taken from this is, at first he's in this investigative mode, because this is what would happen to you after you have just, taken something that is going to drastically change your perception of the things happening around you and to you. So this is a investigative state that he's at, and Dolores is kind of playing, that classic damsel. And I really liked it because it can really just show you how easily, just like the hosts can be altered with the iPads, you can be altered with pharmaceuticals. It's like, things that affect you, like hallucinogens and so forth. So, also they seem to all be stuck on this genre, because if you can't go to the park, you can get a cheap ride on the streets. And an ongoing trope in these dystopian stories, Brave New World, being a major one with the Soma, which turned out to be a real drug, manufactured after, is that, to keep a society docile in a, dystopian atmosphere in which you need people just to be blind consumers and just, pretty much zombies, is to make them docile through the use of narcotics. But Caleb is somebody that always has chosen to feel. So him being in this altered state is not advantageous for how he is perceiving these events happening. And I won't get into the nitty gritty of it, and maybe Johnny you can speak on it, not implying anything. But we all, maybe have partied a little bit and found out that this could have been like the best experience for him, or this could have made this experience so much freakier, so much worse. Like it is rolling the dice. So I found it to be a very interesting dynamic.
Anytime you go to have a trip, so to speak, you want to be in the right mindset, and Caleb was definitely not in the right mindset. This drug doesn't even seem that appealing to me, but the main thing I get through this story, we're told these stories dramatically with Caleb, it seems like a perfect mirror to Dolores, but quicker in this episode. He's going on this faster path than Dolores, because we don't see Caleb as much as we saw Dolores in the first season. So he has to have a little quicker path on screen, I think. And the way he's questioning who he is, what he's going through, everything with this season, I think, is just kind of a beautiful symmetry with Dolores. And yeah, I'm just going to say this. They're both going to die in like a Shakespearean way, I think.
Dolores for sure. Then just one add to that is that a train goes one way. You choose to get on it, a trip goes one way. You better damn well best you got optimistic intentions for that night. I honestly, all fun stuff aside and joking about being a club DJ and all that, I don't recommend doing stuff like that, because it can seriously alter your perception of everything for the rest of your life. This isn't a PSA, but I just got to be honest. But it is a perfect, I think, narrative tool, because also we have to always have that suspension of disbelief of why isn't he saying, hey, this new chick I met keeps getting shot and she's fine, and
was
he
it
seems
the drugs?
But the drugs, though, make him in this altered state, which gives you this explanation for maybe a lack of inquiry, or even a intensified sense of, curiosity. So
everything's happening so fast too for Caleb. He doesn't have much time to think. Have they even taken a nap? That's a big question here.
What does Dolores do? Does she just stare at you sleep? I'd be fine with that, Evan. I'd be fine with it.
I would be. Yeah.
If you think about it, though.
Beautiful woman.
The girl that was Liam's friend, presumably after she left the boys to go take in a show last episode, she must have immediately taken genre, went upstairs, and then viewed the action sequence, which was Bernard and Stubbs fighting, as to be reality, but also an action sequence. And she's like, this stuff is good. Or like this stuff is like something something along those lines. So it's presumably pretty fast acting, but not like a thing of like 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, because you can assume that sequence took, I don't know, 20 minutes or so. So yeah, I don't know. It just seems like there was something with that, but I don't know.
Well, that does play into the way in which drugs in general do affect the way in which you perceive time as well. Especially a state of anxiety. They've taken atomic clocks and clocked people in stressful atmospheres, such as plane rides and drug-induced states, and they do experience time. It might just be an atomic second off, but it can alter time itself. And you might think you've been sitting there staring at some garden gnomes, thinking they might just be like people that are working on the landscaping for 4 hours into the morning, or it could have been 10 minutes. You don't know. Yeah. So it's a wild road down that rabbit hole. Alice in Wonderland, what does she do in order to to get into a different state? Exactly. She takes herself a little bit of a mushroom.
I think with the whole, like we've been briefly talking about, with Caleb not necessarily questioning who she is, what she's doing, like for her own personal stance, that seems like that's going to be their first conversation next episode, because because when they get on the plane, what are they going to talk about until they get obviously all the way back to South China Sea or wherever Westworld is in that area.
Well, so Caleb's going to crash and pass out, I'll tell you that much. More than likely.
Yeah, he's going to eat greasy food, and he's going to... out of it or Silver's way out of it. But let me ask you this question, and to keep it, on Mackenzie, because as Braavosi broadcast has brought up very, very truthfully and good insight. Let Mackenzie talk. Let Mackenzie talk. Yes. So it doesn't seem to be a big surprise when Caleb gets stuck with genre, in my opinion. Yeah. Right? It seems to be. I think this is what we're playing with this whole episode, is how much of this is planned out, and I'll let you get to the story points in which that we see the implications or indications of that. But I kind of caught this on my second watch, especially, was that she just looks back for a moment. She's like, oh, so like my gunman got drugged. Yeah, but she's like, is that just her confidence, or is that just like, okay, is this another clue to this was something that was foreseen?
It seems like, because she was probably 10 paces ahead of them before she realized what was going on, because there was that conversation between Liam and Caleb about, like, you're going to tell me what my future is, but he's like, I already know. He goes into more, obviously, graphic detail about it, but, and then it's when Liam's obviously trying to get away that he just is like, my easiest getaway, because they're not just letting me go freely, is to, stab somebody. And his only, I guess, weapon that he had on him was genre. So if this was... It seems like this was probably part of the plan, in a sense. Because we have to remember from the last episode, they wanted to try and get a host version of Liam, but obviously that changed. It could, again, it's probably one of the million possibilities that Sirach likes to tote about, that one small change changes everything. So I think she could have inferred that he was going to be, something was going to happen where he was going to get away. But I don't think it was the genre that she was assuming he was going to be stuck with, because it obviously changes how the trajectory of at least Caleb's story arc for this episode, not necessarily hers overall, and Liam's.
Yes, that's what I want. Yeah.
So it's because it could mean something like in the future, where because he was stuck with genre, that we get those revelations that we do on the beach, which we'll get to. And that's probably, in some sense, maybe he needed to be stuck with genre to then have that awakening within himself, like other types of drugs do.
Question things more as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
If he was sober, like, hey, why are we doing this? And yeah, see.
So we get him on a train. We're trying to get Liam on a train to what? We're trying to get him somewhere in which he can access the information which they need to access, and also they do plan on seemingly changing him into a host. That we can agree that is the starting point of this caper. This is what they're going for. So what happens in the middle of this? We have him get stabbed. Caleb stabbed with genre. So we either have to conclude, and I think there's ample evidence for both. Haha, Westworld, isn't this fun? That Caleb is not a necessity, but this raises just as many questions to me, because she looks back and it's like she's not so worried. Is it because she's a confident, strong, and very sexy woman? I think so. But also, Evan, hi. But no, she knows. I'll call you later. But is it because she knew this event was going to happen, or is it just because Caleb doesn't factor into this? She's got it under control, but that leads me to believe there is such a bigger reveal coming to why he's coming along. That both of these are very alarming to me in my very you know how I like to interpret story. I don't like to look at something that could just happen and be like, guess what, guys, I got this theory, because it's totally, you can't absolutely prove me wrong. But we have to come to a conclusion that he's either not a necessity, he is not somebody that she is counting on, or she knew this was happening, because this doesn't alter her plan whatsoever. And then we have two converging points here that I know you want to get to with Stubbs and Bernard, because we have two access points here where we have events that seem to imply a foreseen future, meaning there are things that are at play that other people are privy to and others aren't. Specifically, the people that are the seemingly focus of these ploys, Bernard and Caleb. So nobody seems to be alarmed by what's happening. Either way, it obviously it's your stream and I want to get your opinions on this, but I really want to get it out there. Either way, that's alarming to me because it's like she either just doesn't need him, so why is he there? You know what I mean? In the first place, like if she just felt she just gave him the money, that it has just as many implications. Or she knew he was going to get stuck with the drug. My last point is never waste drugs on people. You know, that's like such a way. Oh yeah, they're gonna put drugs in Halloween candy. I'm like, nobody gives free drugs. That would be crazy. Yeah.
Really quick,
go ahead.
Sasa, retain your thoughts because I want to ask him about something he just said. Did you say that they were trying? I don't think they were gonna make Liam a host at this point, right?
Well, they're taking him to extract information from
They were
him.
on the way
Right,
to.
they
do
needed
that
that
last
code, and it makes you wonder who is she gonna make a host now. Is all this information she's getting from Sirach? Is that for some sort of plan for later? I feel like that's a little overboard or almost too obvious to make Sirach a host, but whatever, I can see it. Anyways, but yeah, Caleb, he isn't expendable because Dolores saves him, but is that because of what he's done so far? You know what I mean? So she has to know. I think she's, from what I've gathered from this season, she is hacked into the outer layers of Rehoboam. So she's she's privy to some information, but not all, right? And that's what she needed Liam for. So
there are so many threats in this season, in this episode specifically, but altogether, so many things that seem like there should be an alarmist approach to it, meaning Sirach with Hale, Bernard, you know, his whole scenario does not make any sense. A lot of people seem to be playing into a role that they do not know they're stepping into the shoes of yet. And I think we saw two key moments. That's Bernard and whatever's going on with Caleb. And I think the question is, what is that? But also a good way to find out what is that is who is the one that has any inkling to what's going on, because it's certainly not me. I'm trying to do a chart here really quick to try to put it together. Go ahead, sorry.
It seems like because we leave Dolores, Caleb, and Liam at the end of episode 4 with the reveal to Liam, at least, that Caleb has all of his money and that Laura Essman is still alive. As Liam doesn't actually know Dolores' real name. And then they were probably, because they said as they were walking after Liam gets shot up, the genre is that we have to go west, which was then to go and go to the Insight offices, and the only person that they knew besides Connells that could have the fingerprint data is Liam, and that's why it's like, oh, you don't need me or whatever. Which then, because assuming that, because it's like 2 at one time, like you can't be in 2 places at once, and she's like, try me, with that, and then, yeah, because it's that, and then that's how Connells is able to then spread all of the information, but it's keeping Liam alive so that instead of having the dead version, which we get in the middle of the episode, that there's one that they have that's still around, that's like a version of herself or a external copy, but she probably wanted to have him with her Pearl, I'm assuming, so that she can ultimately be in control of him. But then through the process of what happens on the beach, she's like, well, all of this information.
And she drained his bank account.
And plus, all of the information's out anyways. So it's like, I think the change of revealing everybody's secrets to everybody was going to happen later. But because they had the human version of him, they're just like, oh, we'll just keep him around. And she could have interpreted that he was going to die by the fact that Liam's Rico crew basically showed up. And they found out that certain people in their family were going to die certain ways. So yeah, I think it was just shifting. Once they knew it's like, oh, we can't get the host version, well, this will happen, and then presume he's gonna die, if not by my hand, by somebody in our squad. So I think that's what
Okay.
we presume.
So,
Well,
Go ahead, Johnny.
oh, go ahead, Justin.
Okay.
Get your chart in order.
all right. So we have Dolores. Okay. It's explicitly stated in this episode that Bernard cannot die. So we have the sacrifice of Collins, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're led to believe that this is not only for trying to get information. This is to save Bernard. Now, one interesting thing about Bernard, amongst many other things, is that he is seemingly the one that's the most easy to replicate, because he can be replicated from memory. He can be replicated from memory of who? Dolores. So we have now 3 Dolores altogether. Am I right?
Of the ones that were revealed last episode, yes.
Yeah, there's
Okay.
only 2 that we know of, right?
What?
Dolores
Musashi?
and Hale.
Musashi.
Yeah, Musashi.
Oh yeah, Musashi. I forgot about Musashi.
So we're-
Forgettable.
yeah,
Sorry,
we're-
Musashi.
Yeah, well, yeah, he was there for plot convenience. But so we have the mother of the Dolores and the 3 Dolores. So if Bernard can't go, that means there's a high chance, just using the logic within the context of the story, that Dolores is maybe planning on losing not only the Dolores but herself.
Yep.
You know, the one that's sick, because again, they're all Dolores. But so we're looking that we are possibly going to have a period where there is at least no Dolores present, meaning 4 Doloreses get wiped off the map, whether they're imprisoned, whether they're just not available. Bernard needs to accomplish something. He cannot go. In the person that can easily replicate him, you know, I would say that by far it's the easiest host for them to make more of in the show. They've done it the most, is Dolores. And then we have the connection with Caleb. So where does Caleb's re-education come into play with Serac that Bernard and Dolores need? I think Caleb is the key to something that will open a door for Bernard. I think Bernard has been kept in the dark. Caleb is a key to access some sort of information. I'm not talking about data. I'm just talking about he is going to be the key player. He is stepping into the shoes. It only makes sense because who is Dolores trying to keep around? Caleb and Bernard. Who do we have 2 narratives of that are very misleading, deceptive, and staggered? Caleb and Bernard. We're very much so not in the know. So they're making sure 2 assets are heavily protected. Those are the 2 ones. She killed herself. Collins is Dolores. So
Well, oh, go ahead, Johnny.
Oh, I'm just gonna say really quick. This is my initial thoughts that made me spark something. If Dolores is planning to die, which I think she is, she's gonna give her life for the cause. I think personally that Hale is her successor, Charlotte Hale, and given that she's gonna have a bond with humanity, I think that Dolores never had. Also, I think Caleb is the perfect martyr for humankind, for the oppressed. And with Hale being a replacement, that would make her more apt to cohabitate with humanity, given her relationship that she will build with Nathan. That's my 10-4.
No, I love it, because here's one final point on that. What is different about Bernard? He was a host that thought he was a human. What could be possibly something that makes me want to throw up in my mouth, but it could work for the story. Caleb could be a human that could be turned into a host. So they could then not maybe get the singularity technically, but it could be the perfect mix. And for anybody wondering, for any of you aspiring writers or anything want to know what my story chart looks like that I was making, it's just a shitty picture right there. That's what I was doing. So yeah. Oh, I forgot to do this.
Beautiful. I put that on my refrigerator.
That's how I knew
Epic.
he died. I was like, oh, there's an X. So no.
Epic.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
should frame
no.
that.
And that's how you make a story arc. There you go. No, that's not how you.
Look,
That's how,
really quick though, Caleb already knows he was going to commit suicide in 10 years.
well,
He
he's
almost
told.
is. Well, he's told that, but his mindset is going to be one of willing to give his life for something.
Yep.
You know, he doesn't really have anything to live for. His mother doesn't even recognize. There's nothing there for him. That's going to change. There's going to be some conflict in Caleb's mind, I think.
Yeah,
But I feel like he's
Counterpoint.
set up to sacrifice himself as well.
Counterpoint. Yeah, I think it's a risky
Sure.
plan, but let me hit you with this. Okay, the one way to really get somebody's allegiance is to not just say, hey, come over to my side because I'll do this for you. Dolores, oh my God, she gave him such a good sell. She said, I'll give you money. You don't even need, it didn't look like she had any agenda whatsoever. It has inspired blind loyalty in her because she didn't have an ask. She said, listen, I just want to save you from this fucked up system. And if you want to come with me, I guess that's cool too, Yeah. And again, you're beautiful, Evan. So yeah, it worked out, but that's a way better sell than come with me to defeat this. Like, he made that decision on his own. Most people in life go throughout their whole life being afraid of being wrong, and also being afraid of finding out other people are telling them what to do. We've got a whole bunch of people in Michigan right now going to get COVID because they don't like the government telling them that they're not supposed to gather. They're like, not in my America, I'll go get sick. It's ridiculous. Sorry, not to get political on there. That's my state, and it really does underline a lot of the points they're making here of how people are so afraid of losing agency over their whole life. They tell me I can't go ahead and get HIV. I'll show you, government. So I don't know why the Michigan people have it by accent. Sorry.
I think that the part that is the biggest element of this is Caleb's importance is obviously what we get with the sequence on the beach with Liam saying words like, you did this, you don't know who you are, you're the worst of them, you are nothing. A lot of people have been speculating that's humanity in general, but it's just veered into a lot of people think it's also Caleb. We're missing a huge chunk of his backstory that we got in tiny glimpses of this episode, and when Caleb's like, who does he think I am, to Dolores, she doesn't say anything.
Yes.
And the fact that he's like just like, oh well, you don't know who I am, you all-knowing person, you clearly know everything about me, but you're not going to say who I am and what I'm doing, is a big red flag. And I feel like they're holding it back for next episode or the penultimate episode of this season of what he actually is, and what he's doing. A lot of people online are speculating that that's the brother. I don't think so.
Because he said he had because there's a brother, and they could be. Remember when Logan was like a cousin to this person, and William had to be. God, I always said in season 1 we keep building a fucking family tree instead of a story. Wouldn't it be cool if they were? I get this has more credence actually though. Like there's something that means something there.
Yeah.
Liam's brother? Is that what you're saying?
It's kind of what's going on.
Yeah, like it's to be like a Sirach's brother, just like having his mind be put into Caleb.
Our son. I mean, it's definitely.
It doesn't
the age is right, or his brother's son.
It shares none of the characteristics that we've seen from the brother. Yeah. The re-education could be used as a good explanation for that. But what we're dealing with here is a situation in which he now has been involved in what he thought, as I said, the best thing in the world. He made his own decision to do this. It didn't seem like she had any ulterior motive, right? But now he's in this situation, and Liam, somebody that he has been going after with her, has looked at him and said, it's you. So now that has to raise alarm bells after that high goes away, saying, holy shit, somebody's using me, right? Because it's like this was all just happenstance, and now it's like these puzzle pieces are coming. It really, all the evidence is pointing towards, again, and I'm willing to say when I was hoping it would be different, but I don't hate the way this is going, and it does lead me to believe that Dolores has either some insight into what's happening, or she has a plan. Because there's too much unknown in this assurance about knowing nothing, that we are either watching like the most foolhardy caper ever of just the dumbest people that are like just so self-assured that they just aren't questioning any of it. They're like, oh, that's fine, we're good, we're still good. Or we're watching like an intelligent plan at play. So pick your poison.
Go ahead.
So who is he? What would be the worst thing that Dolores could tell him who he is? Would be the man that ends humanity. That would be the worst.
One more time.
If he's responsible for ending humanity, one of the outliers, one of the agitators, that Sirach was talking about in this episode will be the end of humanity. Could that be Caleb? He was trying to get a hold of him to do the test. This is what he's talking about, these experiments that he was doing, his program. And I think Caleb, well, we know Caleb has been at least, what would you say, rebooted in a sense. I think they take out the undesirable aspects just to let them get through life and not affect with Rehoboam's equation. Because people like Caleb is someone that, you can't control. And I think he may be evil too in the end. We don't really know. That's the big thing they set up here. I think it's really cool.
My take on it is, okay, he is unpredictable, right? He went and he did some things overseas, that he doesn't seem to be regular, armed forces. He seems to be doing some sort of covert work. Something happened over there. He isn't unpredictable. He is one of those, like once in a lifetime, I guess I won't call him like a maestro or something like that, but the people that are most influential, as we see with Sirach's brother, they tend to be people that are hard to control by society. They're very rarely shown any gratitude or fortunately they're praised after, but we see a situation in which where we have to have somebody that is so genuine. I truly believe he is genuine in the mindset he is in now. So how can somebody so genuine be pulling one over on Dolores other than if he doesn't know he's pulling one over? Because the same thing of him being this divergent would get him this re-education, which is a terrible branding. Don't use that. Don't do it, and don't definitely name it that. Bad move. History will not reflect well on that, and they shouldn't. But we are going to have a situation in which he diverged, and now he is so genuine because he's been through this re-education system, but has made him forget who he used to be. Caleb is Caleb, but we are seeing a Caleb that is not completely, understanding and perceiving who he used to be. So it's going to be the merging of two stories, and that's why I don't hate the genre. I saw one comment from Sasek. How do you pronounce that?
That's okay.
Sasuke in there. Like, I didn't hate it because this is all about story and how influential they are in you. It's all about the stories that we tell ourselves about ourselves, and it is about how we live in a narrative in retrospect. You go throughout your life and you put it into a 3-act play. You didn't know when you might have known you were going to eat something for breakfast and go to work today and all that. You didn't know everything that was coming at you. We are reacting to life. So yeah, I find it to be a very interesting tie-in. Yeah, is it cheesy? Yeah, I wouldn't brand that drug that name, but I think it works for the show.
It seems with Caleb's backstory that we're slowly getting more pieces of, which I, again, feel like we're not really going to go back there next episode, but maybe episode 7 in this, that we're missing a very key person who they've mentioned by name in parts of the show, but that we haven't gone back to that part of the story, which is Francis. This elusive person who died, and with Caleb trying to save him. But if we look back at I think it's Comic-Con teaser trailer or something, or a teaser trailer for season 3, you see Caleb with a shaved head looking through a glass wall at Francis in a orange jumpsuit. So in my mind, which is I've been thinking about this since we've all been talking about it.
You didn't do it in my mind, damn you.
It seems like that Caleb might have went to, and Francis, they both went to war. And I know everybody's going to hate me for saying this, but there's probably going to be some disparity in the terms of who got away with what happened to the actor. Who ended up being killed and was kidnapped and then killed, probably some Russian politician. The fact that they gave Caleb presumably these treatments afterwards meant that he died on Francis died on the battlefield, but he didn't actually die. So it's that shift of he knows Francis is alive. But he was given the false memory of him dying because he's never supposed to actually see him.
In what is the point of? And I'm sorry, I'm going to call you Sarah. I meant I'm very bad with names. So Sarah, thank you again for your insight, and I think I can get Sarah. That is within my means. But what is the point of withholding information from somebody if it isn't some dark secret, something that is going to be a catalyst for a change in his, motivation and his goal? I think that it's very possible that there was not a killing of Francis, but yes, an imprisonment, and then there could have been still an execution, a killing. We did see some sort of a Russian. I guess we're just, I'm going to go ahead and surmise that it's a Russian diplomat as well, because it does seem like, they didn't give us that information about the Civil War. It doesn't really matter. The point is, they were involved in some dirty stuff. Somebody went down for it. Caleb is going to realize who he is, and there's going to be a part of that in which he does not like. You have to have that catalyst for change, that catalyst that is going to set him on his own path. This will be his awakening. This will be his Maeve in the train moment. This will be his Dolores sitting across from Dolores moment. This will be, I can't remember when Stubbs awake. He just did it out of nowhere. He's like, "Oh, I'm a host too," and we're like, "Okay."
No,
we wrote it last night.
What the fuck are you doing here?
Yeah,
that's what Stubbs did.
But
really quick,
go ahead.
So Still Rain's kind of on the same level I'm at right now, so that's what's up, Still Rain. He's another Dolores. So let's say they're expendables. They were actually they went into the Insight program for behavioral therapy before they were sent on these missions. And they are expendable once they complete this mission. What do you do with an expendable? You kill them so they can't talk about it. Caleb perhaps survived and was used for some type of experiment. This is just kind of my pinfall here. But
and this could be another expendable. Yeah. Sorry, go.
With what happens with Francis, I think it's more about his past and what led to that and who he was, because I feel like he mirrors Dolores perfectly. Dolores was never really the damsel in distress. She was the cause of the destruction of Westworld. She was the apocalypse for Westworld, whereas Caleb will be the apocalypse for mankind.
So dumb.
Not necessarily willingly, or not necessarily doing it out of being bad or evil, but to wipe out what the world has become. Because we have to have an opposite to Sirach in humanity. Sirach wants to save humanity at all sociopathic costs. Caleb may find something that proves to him that humanity doesn't deserve to live. And this goes back to you saying Caleb may want to be a host, a person that wants to be a host, It all ties into that. We might be figuring something out.
I also, and that's Steel Rain, my Patreons are just the fucking smartest. You know what I mean? They really are. And I hope to give you some good behind the scenes content soon. But the last final note on that is, at least on my part, and then I will be quiet, is that we have a situation in which I don't see why Caleb would need to be Dolores per se, but I do see why they would have him talking to Francis, because this just kind of clicked in my head, because it could be making sure that he's not coming around and remembering anything too soon, right? Like, this is we know it's the monitoring system. I doubt that is that therapist was a dick. He's I can't see you every day. You know what I mean? So you better just make your phone calls. And in my experience, they're give me $200 and I'll tell you it's not your fault. I'm like, all right, fair enough. Stupid. Anyways,
not actually a Dolores or one of the Dolori. I think he's going to mirror Dolores' story.
I got you.
But for humanity. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think I misread what Still Rain was talking about, but that's what's in my mind. He is Dolores' story arc from season 1.
Yeah, the awakening. I found my own story where I wasn't the damsel.
If you are a thing with previews, just watch it. But we see that obviously there's a sequence of, we still have to see Dolores getting her arm ripped off. We also have to still see the fact that Dolores has tubes connected to her shoulder, her collarbones, and her like screaming, Caleb having a gun pointed at him by Sirach. So it's probably going to be something of there and them obviously going back to the park, which I didn't think was going to happen, but here we are. That there is something that's very important to who he is. We don't, and it's presumably that it is insight related. I think a lot of the memories that he's been given, minus the one about his childhood, I feel like the childhood one is real. A lot of the stuff about Francis and post-Francis seems like it was given to him through those treatments, because we're also going to see that in the eyes of William coming up, what the type of treatments at this facility is going to be, which could be different, the same, and William does say to somebody, I'm going to save the effing world, like I said a few times. So it's a thing of Caleb's like, oh, I'll just be a bystander in humanity, I won't like do anything until, of course, that he meets with Dolores, and then that changes everything because he doesn't know who she is. If, though, that Caleb is a she took the bullets for Caleb because she wasn't ready for him to die yet, if he is as expendable as he is needing to be. Like, she needs him as almost maybe a thing of, oh, this person that you used to manipulate, oh, I have him. He's like, because they didn't mention all of the scenes, I think, if I remember correctly, with business associates or interns like talking to Sirach, like, oh, Caleb, Liam's compound, Dolores did this. They never mention Caleb by name, which is something that either
because it's a simulation, people. Isn't that fun? Caleb doesn't exist
in the simulation, or he's just a figment of like a person to get Dolores back to the park, to then be like deal with Maeve and then do all of that. But then he actually is a real person. It's like for the simulation. He's
Dolores has a completely different hairstyle in there too. I don't know.
That's not okay. So
damn it, there's too much here.
This is no, it's not. It's really it's getting simpler as I'm working it out through my ADD riddled mind. Okay, so Sirach, Dolores, and Bernard all want the data. Okay, who needs to stay alive? Caleb needs to stay alive, but he doesn't seem to be necessary right now. Bernard seems to be somebody, obviously, that you explicitly stated that he needs to stay alive. So what would those two do together, other than become best friends and have a spinoff? But no, they definitely could mirror each other with this idea. I do like the idea of him turning into a host and have Bernard help a human turn into a host and learn how to, embrace this new state, this new like hybrid species of sorts. But also, here's the thing: the reason that you'd want to keep Caleb around is because they know Caleb hasn't found out who he is yet. I don't buy into he is anybody else other than him, other than he has repressed memories, because for all intents and purposes, it doesn't matter. Make him somebody else. He's going to be different once he remembers what happened. So it is going to be a different person. He is just being drugged along because they know there's going to be this moment of an enlightenment, right? So they know this is crucial. They know that there is a background situation where he's been re-educated. Again, not cool, dudes. Not cool. And they know that they can exploit this. They might put him through some traumatic acts because it's all about this post-traumatic growth. So we need two characters to stay alive, Bernard and Caleb. What could they do for each other? Well, learn a little something, learn something from him, and become best friends. But also, in all seriousness, Bernard has always been, in my opinion, the best specimen, the best example of a host that is embodying and embracing humanity. So I think that if you're going to do this crossover, you're going to finally merge this technological with this biological, and you're going to have some sort of a working relationship, it would make sense to do it with those two. Because if you make it Sirach's brother, if you make it Frank from Fifth Street's second cousin. I love family trees too in A Song of Ice and Fire. I love that comment, Sarah. I love it too. I'm not saying, but it gets to the point where it's like there's these familiar connections like that don't add much other than, again, like, oh, I guess that's kind of neat. It's like, oh, he's actually a third cousin. I'm like, holy smokes, I didn't know that. And then it's gone. But like, I do agree that it would make more of a difference with Sirach's brother. But again, why? Like what? So then it's already a host. Caleb's already a host. It's really Sirach's brother. What? I don't get that gambit. I don't get the point of it. But again, it's Westworld, so wouldn't it be the first time?
I like it more as if Dolores. Okay, so you have a finite number of host personalities in the park, correct? Mm-hmm. If you want to make a world filled with hosts instead of having like a 12-person tribe on one tiny spot of the globe, are you going to make like a bunch of versions of yourself? Or are you going to try to find people worthy, personalities worthy of living in your new world? Mm-hmm. I know that sounds a little egotistical on Dolores' part, but we all know that that's not necessarily a bad thing. She recreated Arnold, right? Because he was deemed worthy. Yes. There's other reasons she did, but he was deemed worthy, like a worthy human. And Caleb will be that worthy human. His past is his past, and I think his memories are repressed because if they weren't, Rehoboam there would be more divergences.
Oh, like a blind in a smoke screen.
You see what I mean? And this is what they're doing with all those people, including people like Francis. They're trying. These are the outliers. These are the ones that could cause the end of the world that don't fit the system. And if you don't fit the system here, well, you get re-educated, as Justin's been saying. You know, that's what happens.
Yeah. So are we? I think we're getting something here finally, people. And this is help to Jake in the chat, to Steele, to OTDA, to Sarah. Yes, got it, nailed it. Figured out a name. No, we got a situation in which I can see that if there is going to be no Doloreses, that Bernard, just as he has created Dolores in the past, then Caleb's new persona will be essentially Dolores if changed into a host. I could see that as a possible narrative on it, a merging of it, and kind of like a combination of everybody's like darkest, sickest desires with all these theories. I think it's kind of like a nice middle ground, but I also think it's completely possible. Like Johnny, I mean, it's that is got to be spot on. The best way to do this is to not have your mind read, to not have your decisions, predicted, is to have no agency. So the inability to have agency, which has held the host back in the past, are helping them here. You know, like you need, it's like a Morty and Rick and Morty. You know, like Rick keeps Morty around because he's stupid. You know, and it cloaks his intelligence. So, but this is just like, well, this is that. I was gonna try to dress it up, but I like it. I really, really like it. I think we got there. We figured out Westworld. Everybody, we can go home. Let's start rewatching The Office, and we'll start a podcast on Monday. So that boss, I'll tell you, he's a character.
Hey, my favorite character is Asian Jim.
No, Creed, motherfucker.
Creed's my favorite for real. I've watched Creed highlights. Actually, Mackenzie every once in a while will send me a Creed highlight reel. Yeah. He is the best. He reminds me of riddled drug addicts in my family.
That's Angela. She's off his bitch. It's Meredith.
Yeah, Meredith and Angela, everybody. And then Dwight with the pot episode. How much pot did you smoke? He's like, I don't know. Anyway,
what one more addition to this, and oh my god, I'm the worst, is one of you brought up the William situation. So the best way to introduce a method within your story, meaning a mechanic, is to showcase it. Westworld does this, and they do it in abstract ways, usually non-connected, non-linear story threads, right? So what happens to the re-education, which now that I say it more and more, it sounds okay.
That's what happened to Caleb, right?
Well, we're going to see it happen to the Man in Black. It'll give us context. It will give us an idea of what's happening. So then when we get because they're not going to show it most likely in depth with Caleb, and it will come out, and we won't need to be like, well, what's that all about? Because that's a bad question. Don't ever ask. So what's re-education all about? You can find out.
Well, because Caleb could have effectively lost his mind, or not lost his mind.
He got shot in the mind as well. I think that's another
factor. He's going to have be a little bit crazy, like the Man in Black has been sent to the same facility, it looks like, to have that treatment, and that's also where MIB is going to get his drip implanted in, which is probably
Bastard.
so. With that, there was also a question from Still Rain about what is in the bag that she's taking to the park. Guns, probably.
I think that it's Colin's pearl.
Guns and probably Colin's pearl.
Just don't throw. Don't. I mean, I don't have any issue, especially with how much I talk of you. But come on, yeah, you're.
You know how long it would take to find Connell's pearl after that explosion? We would have to have a whole episode of Dolores sifting through.
No, it's indestructible, and it's the only thing that's not found. And guess what? Just like they found the black box outside of Building 7, they will in the passport, or not the black box. They found the passports for the terrorists. No. This is gonna happen, and you want to know how it happens, Johnny? Because I need the story to happen. I'm writing. I need to go home.
Here, though. Angela blew up, and she never came back. We thought she was gonna come back.
Not yet,
and
that all could be a simulation.
Sifted through the cradle and grabbed that pearl either.
Well, no, you don't know if it's not it all could be a simulation, and everything could be nothing. It could be stupid. So just deal with that.
I break my TV and I'm done with this show.
I will be. If we get more than one simulation happening, we're like, I will be
a simulation. I will accept that.
That is where you have people.
When she comes out, it'll be 5 years in the future.
Yeah.
Or she died, and it's been put back in the simulation as a different approach.
See, every time we say simulation, we lose intellect points here. Like, honestly, I think we were really onto something. In that simulation, all that's going to do is, like, really make some people, like, really proud of themselves for ruining a story. I predicted the story was going to be shitty. Yeah. It's like predicting season 8 of Thrones. And then you're, like, so happy because you were right. But what you love was ruined.
I predicted season 8 of Thrones, and I was not happy about it.
No, it's miserable. You're like, holy shit.
But yeah, I think that there's that there's something more to Liam that we don't know, and it's probably some version of the Delos project, but mixed with an Insight version of a project, and it's just like amalgamation of the two of them. But I still believe that Francis didn't die in Russia. He came back to America, and they just did away with him just so they could make Caleb the person who he is, and then they just kept him there, but not knowing that he'd become an outlier and rise up with this robot rebellion that they're seemingly dealing with.
Couldn't they still be holding him, and that could be used as motivation? Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah. He could be like, help me out, and Caleb could be like, who are you? They wiped my mind. You'd be like, never mind, forget it. And then just kill
it could be a situation of, I thought you were, like,
I don't like that, though.
If they use
what I would do.
If they use Francis as, like, in present day form, it could be a situation of I thought you were dead, and it's like, and then stupidly they'll have him go, have you ever questioned the nature of your reality?
Oh, snap.
Like
I love it.
Like Bernard says, or whatever. Or it could be like a thing of like how Men in Black thought he saw Dolores at the end of episode 4.
He has to get rid of those hallucinations and that trauma if he's going to be functional at all, I think. Mm-hmm. That's got to be one of the steps here, right? And maybe because I don't think his personality is going to change too much, just as I don't think we've seen Caleb's personality change too much. But if you take memories away from people, that will change their decision making, because memories, trauma, that drives your decision making in the future through either fear or anxiety. And if you take some of that away, I think it makes people function a little better. And if you add something in there, if you add a memory, we haven't really talked about that, but can they add memories here?
Well,
probably.
Go ahead.
But no, I like that because it is true. I mean, from the studies that have been done, like most patients with amnesia do have like a certain similar demeanor. A lot of times right on point. It's one of the most like fascinating and like confusing things, because like they just don't remember specific aspects of their, and not all amnesia is the same, right? Mm-hmm. But in a lot of cases, and I don't know, because there is a professor of psychology that's been on these videos that I really need you at this point. But no, there's specific cases where that is what is going on, is that they have like the same demeanor, and they very much so like attitudinal is around the same thing, but they do want to know what's happening in their life, so then they can feel like it's like there's a very good film in which a brother lies to the twin and I forget the name, about the relationship they had with their parents, because they have an abusive relationship. The twin gets amnesia, and instead of giving him like the truth, he gives him like, what he wants to hear, essentially. No, mom's good, it's good. And obviously he finds out, twist. But you know what I mean? But like the thing is, like, he knows he loves his mom, he knows it, but he just wants to like know how to feel about everybody. You get what I mean? So it's like, it's so odd to me, that type of cognitive behavior. It's just like, I don't know, it like bewilders me. Maybe I'm just not bright enough to grasp it, but it's like, how can they know everything about life and how to operate, but not have just details about certain people? You know what I mean? Like, it's just, it's crazy to me. And then they can be basically told how to act with those people. But Johnny, what you're saying holds up in a lot of those cases, that their demeanor will likely be the same. Get what I mean? Like, that's so odd, because it's like their attitude towards things, their disposition is going to be very, very much so the same. But it's just like, you can pretty much program them like a host. So like, oh yeah, you owe me a lot of money too. Go ahead and do that. But yeah, so I think there's credence to that. And why couldn't you add memories? All adding memories is not giving them correct memories.
Mm-hmm.
It's not stacking on top.
I.e. probably Francis dying in the way that he did, basically.
I'd have Francis tell him that Francis died. So he'd be like, what? He's like, yeah, I died. He'd be like, excuse me? Yeah, and just let him, I'm like, deal with that, buddy.
Exactly.
So, re-education.
And plus, like Ford said in the very beginning of this, in the first season, we've cured every disease. So it's not possible that they've been able to figure out ways to give people fake memories and fake beliefs about themselves that aren't hosts and have a different timeline for themselves. So...
And Sarah did bring up that, yes, amnesia is a protective process too. By the time of the events in the show, they probably figure out a way to manipulate the trauma on the brain. It depends on which part of the brain. Yeah, I'm not a neuroscientist by any means. I just find amnesia, at least the way in which it's usually depicted, or the few documentaries I've watched and like few papers I've read to give me the information.
A hammer to the temple works very well.
Oh yeah, dude. No, I mean, that's just good for a good night's sleep. But we do have what is it right here? You do have a situation in which we're dealing with but finally, so we got somebody with a psych degree. There we go. Finally. Yeah, so there's nothing off the table for Caleb, but again, that's why I don't think we have a good idea of who Caleb is. So why does it have to be somebody else that we also don't have a good idea of who they are? And I'm loving this chat, by the way, Mackenzie, because they're all saying they hate simulation theory and that they don't want that to happen for the story. Thank you guys for just wanting to have a story, not for it to be different, not to be like, holy smokes, I'm so happy I wasted my whole fucking year in the last 3 months, and then counting another 3, because everything turned out to be different for one moment of Jaws. Thank you for being good people.
It seems, like if it's I could see Maeve's like training being a simulation, but that's it. Like everything else that's ever happened in this show, besides like the Maeve stuff being included in a simulation, just doesn't make sense for me personally within the story. It just doesn't work, because it's like, then Caleb isn't even a real person, which we've been led to believe this entire time.
You have no proof that he's not. It could happen.
Based off of, if we don't take any knowledge from the future of like the previews and so on and so forth, we've been led to believe that up until this point he was just a human who went through some tragic stuff, and there's the potential that he could be much different than we actually know of him, based off of what the son of a tech giant knows about him.
Look, what if he kills Serac as Dolores killed Ford? Oh, that would be some shit. I bet that happens. Yeah. Mark it down.
Parallel storytelling in these cyclic narratives are a ongoing occurrence in this series, and I don't see any reason why we can't have an awakening like Dolores. It means much less to me if it is a Dolores, because again, you're rehashing old ideas and things that have already been revealed. It is about a progression of species, and it's about watching this on on the factory floor. Like you're in the sausage factory. I can never get a better analogy every week. I think gotta stop using that sausage factory. But the whole adage is, you don't want to go there because you see how it's made and it's supposed to be gross. Whatever. Like it takes away from the like the allure to it, the mystique. So it takes it away. So like when you have a god in every sense other than divine act out in front of you, meaning create and have his creations create, like forward, it's like kind of like, okay, like I guess that's a god, and it normalizes it. We can adapt to these types of situations with the ongoing progression of technology in our world. It's relevant, and it does not make any sense to keep deceiving for deception's sake. Maeve is a valid point that we will see maybe one more like whatever but a simulation. I still stick with Serac will use a simulation against them when they try to like get close to him and his awesome air blimp, which God, I wish I could have myself. That would just be a really badass place to stream from, up in my air blimp. But you know what I mean? Like it's just it renders a lot of things like just pointless. It's just I don't get that need to have this to be simulated. Like I don't get that. I get the point to have deception because it puts stories together in which you watch them bit by bit as a puzzle, and then the picture is beautiful at the end, like season 1. Season 2, not so much. I was like, ooh, here's a piece. Ooh, here's a piece, and it was like a big dog turd in my once I put it together. I'm like, oh. So, but yeah, so I'm hoping that this picture is beautiful once you piece it together. You start making everything just so convoluted and just I can't stand it. It's need to be different. Sorry.
Yeah, we just need more information. We need
that should be the tagline for Westworld. Just some more information.
We just need more information. Yeah, and I think we about that. But with the whole thing about people knowing who they are and what they're doing, we get the Dolores's, as Evan Rachel Wood pointed out, in her moment of anarchy, which is unleashing all of this information that everybody has that the system has about them. The one thing that I question though in this is LA. I don't think of many shows have depicted the fact that there's trains in Southern California. Like a lot of them don't use that. They're like, let me just drive my car. So I find that that's quite interesting. But
there's buses. There's not a large transit system in Southern LA.
So why are they using trains all the time? They use the
because
trains.
Elon Musk is getting on it right now.
The boring project.
It is the future, and
I do love that. That's the one thing you're questioning, right? Mackenzie.
No, there's that.
I love that's the one thing.
I get what
the trains. I don't buy the bullshit. I call bullshit on the trains.
Well, they don't depict it in other forms of media near Southern California. Anyway.
No, I do agree with what you're saying because I think it's one of those things where you keep things very much so the same with slight deviances, divergence in the tech, so it keeps it grounded, like how the Expanse still uses bullets instead of pew, 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 because guess what sounds better than pew, 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 is the guns going through. So it's like, it's the grounded. I think that's a valid point. And it's a good observation.
Yeah, so then we see that people are getting their stories, suicides. Someone had marked for early onset Alzheimer's with an algorithm that predicted their life. I know this is the moral question and you don't have to answer it, but it's the thing of if you were presented with what was going to happen to you or someone you know, would you read it?
Well, yeah, I mean that comes down to what is it? Is it Schrodinger's box, her cat? Where until you observe, it doesn't actually happen. So you have to observe in order for things to actually, this is quantum mechanics. Mm-hmm. If you don't observe the death of the cat, it doesn't happen. So essentially, if you don't look in the box, which is the guy went nuts after he did the thing. I mean, he realized that he probably killed a lot of cats. And it's kind of I think it's like a much more complex and layered analogy to if a tree falls in the woods and nobody's there, do you hear it? So it's do atoms need to be observed when split in order for them to, they've cloned cells. They've split them across seas, and until observed, they don't happen. It's very fascinating. I think it's called like foggy or spooky physics or whatever. Einstein didn't buy into it, but by that time he was getting pretty stubborn. I got a book on it, and if I can understand 10% of quantum mechanics, I will be happy. But yeah, I think that what we're dealing with is, do we seal our own fate by, implanting that type of information into our head? And you can only be as free as you allow yourself to be in this society, even without Rehoboam, like even in our own world. So like, it's kind of the question of, even if it's determined for you, it's like the old adage for the Greek, myth is, the gods have already set the score of the game. You just got to play it the best you can. Like the outcome's already determined. You still play as hard as you can. So I guess, people might differ.
You don't want to know you're going to die taking a shit. Okay, that's not going to give you motivation for the rest of your life.
I finished my shit before I die. So, yeah.
Eating a peanut butter and banana sandwich. That's the famous Elvis one.
How much does that information plague you? Yeah, like, and how much? Yeah.
How much? Yeah, and
I'd say it can ruin your life. I mean, Caleb has a point, right? You kind of don't want to know the future, but it depends on the person too.
A Song of Ice and Fire kind of addresses this with prophecy. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like every single character gets drawn into prophecy, and it ends up either a failure of trying to fulfill it, or the folly of trying to avoid it their whole life. So it's like, this idea is implanted into it at an early age, and kind of like can form who you are. So I mean, if you believe in a deterministic universe, then you're definitely going to have much more distress reading something like that. If you are a free will believing, completely full of agency fella, then you're gonna be like, it is what it is. It's like a like a whatever you call them, fortune cookie. So I think it depends on the person's philosophy. Mm-hmm. A stupid person would do really well with it. They'd be like, I guess I'll die in a few weeks, so no big deal. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Forrest Gump would have done fantastic.
How much genre you got? Maybe I can die tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like we see, once everybody knows their information, they're just like, all right, like just a lot of people are just being criminals, and basically it's like, oh, I'm gonna die in 5 to 7 years, oh, let me just use the Rico app. Like, probably, I wonder what the spike in usage of the Rico app was, based off of the release of all of this information. We might get that next episode, because we still have yet to see riot footage, which was in the season trailer. So presumably the riots are coming. The riots are coming.
Like, yeah, what if they told you you're going to be a success? I'd be so mad. Like, I'd just be so mad. I'm like, how dare you? How dare you? And I would try everything in my power to avoid that success, like I do in real life. Self-destruct right before I achieve anything of meaningful, value. So I'd be like, fuck you, saying I'm going to be CEO of fucking SpaceX, you dicks. I'm going to make sure that doesn't happen. Going town to score some crack. All right, see you fellas later. So no, I mean, yeah, it's an interesting, outlook. It's a scary one. I mean, Johnny, would you look?
He stepped away for a second.
He
wouldn't look. Yeah.
No, because I don't want to know. That's too much information. I'm curious.
Would you look for me, and I could look for you?
Well, they did also show in the episode, like, what people are saying about you. Like, the one guy, he, like, was reading, like, that people say he's an asshole, a jackass, like, all of this other stuff.
Oh, I won't like that.
That's what they were reading, like, people were saying about you. So it's kind of like
me?
Well,
social media, but on, like, an elevated level.
The woman that saw the daughter was going to kill herself by slitting her wrists. That was the worst thing.
A broken wrist, I thought it said.
Yeah, she needs to follow up. She needs to remember the proper way to do it. But anyways, I think that it's one of those. Yeah, I just want her to be successful, whatever she does. I think I'd look, because I would challenge God, because I've got a lot. I got a lot of questions, and you want to know what? I've read these books that are supposedly from gods, and I got to say, I've read better self-published books on Amazon in some cases. So I challenge, open challenge, come at me. I got a sword.
You're gonna use that against.
What do you? I'm not going to use it, Mackenzie. It's just for flip. Yeah, I'm probably not going to use it. It's all fucking busted. So just be quiet though. Act like it's cool, please. Sorry.
Yes, you're gonna use that one.
Yeah.
The day after the insight predicts you're gonna die.
Like a painter that only paints with red.
Exactly. Right. For me, I don't know. It's hard.
I'll
to
read
say.
yours for you.
You would read my okay.
That could be a deal, and we could try to protect each other.
Then it's like a thing of like online. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe, but then I'd be on eggshells all the time about
one
like,
drink, one drunken night. All of your asses are looking at it. There's no way you can have that amount of restraint.
Well,
like you are.
That's the that also brings the question of how do you unsee it? Like it shows up, like presumably kind of like how. Like, how do you swipe away from it? Like, is it a thing of, like, you have to give Insight $1 million to get away with it? Or, like, how do
if you don't look at it long enough, if you kind of turn away really quick, do a bunch of drugs and alcohol afterwards, you might forget it. Or you could just accept the fact that maybe you have your fate in your own hands now. But that's not what these people are getting. They're getting, like...
I recommend that methodology for all situations, just to be clear.
No, but it's like a situation of like, how do you like, because like it obviously comes up as a notification on your phone, but is it like a thing of like when you automatically like get it unlock your phone, does it just there and it's like a situation of which they didn't discuss of like, is it a thing of like people could have avoided it, or it's just a thing where it's like it's just built into whichever model of phone that you have, that Insight probably made all of these different types of phones for this purpose, almost, potentially.
That's why I use my Nokia, and play Snake on it. But no, I mean, it is just one of those things. I mean, to be honest, it's like I look at Facebook every day and I look at all this, all these messages, you're a dick, shut up, you dick, stop being such a dick, you dick, all these things, I'm like, that ain't real. That's just some...
Trolls on the internet.
Trolls, haters. No, it hurts. It hurts bad. Yeah, I think we'd all look, and it would affect us in one way. To even have the proposed idea that you are determined to live or die a certain way, it's very, very much so a frightening prospect. And I think that this is, have we ever seen a situation where nobody knows who they are with the most, like the highest level of predictive technology, but yet nobody knows who the fuck anybody is? And I get it. It's because the predictive technology works because they're dictating all this. But man, I'd be like, I guess we know everything. Now there actually a lot of people even don't know what the hell's going on. Like nobody knows who's who. This guy's got a new girlfriend that's been shot 6 times. I mean, that has to be addressed eventually. It's got to be like, hey, I know you're pretty, but I notice you keep getting shot in the stomach, and it's like you stubbed your toe.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm going to die in a few years, so it doesn't matter if I kill you right now. There's no consequence. You're not going to defend yourself and hurt me too bad because I'll still keep living according to this app. No, it's kind of a betrayal of everything you've ever known in your entire life. You get this, you see how much they do know about you, and then you see what Rehoboam projects about you, and then you question the nature of your reality, but more so the society that you're living in, and what's the fucking point?
You just plugged a huge hole in it, Johnny, because the quickest way to end the war is to lose it. So if they tell you that you are going to live to 97, I put this sword through my gut like a samurai right now and be like, fuck you, predictive technology. I'm in control. That's but it's a sure way to beat it, right? Like we look at it as all hard. I mean,
the only way to beat it, I guess.
But no, it's not the only way. If that's possible, by the definition, it would have to be possible the other way. Yes, it's much more an uphill battle, but I don't think getting this through my belly is going to be easy either. So we'll figure it out, But it is a valid point. If you can,
the hilt on the ground and then you like lay on it.
We'll talk about it after.
Oh, okay. I was just helping. I'm sorry.
I was half joking. I mean, I'm not going to really do that. That's fucking crazy. Well,
please don't. Because
2 more Patreons. Get me to $50, and I will do. I will die according to the Bushido code. No. Whatever, Mackenzie. Don't tell me how to live my life.
No, because then you won't have to be around. So we.
All right, my channel goes to Johnny, Mackenzie. You are in charge of the marketing, and I'm gonna
make a bunch of parody videos.
No.
Old footage.
No videos can be made other than just reminders of keep subbing, because I want more subs even after I'm dead.
You heard it here first, people.
I'll just run that on a loop for like a 10-minute video. Keep subbing, keep subbing, keep subbing.
Mm-hmm.
That'll work.
And it out of
Support me
guilt
on
too. 'Cause think about
Patreon.
what big piece of shit you are if you don't sub after that. Oh my god, that's so disrespectful to my family too. Think about them.
Or support on Patreon. Yeah, what if I know this is like they're saying that Caleb's supposed to die on the pier in Southern California, but if we're getting the 5-year time jump, what if he dies in the park? Like it's like by suicide, which is like just someone like just kill me. It's like there's that also as an entire possibility of like we still have the time jump, so it's like
yeah, that goddamn time jump that I thought was going to happen right away. Why did they lie to me and make me foolish? Yeah, I mean, but also Mackenzie, to be like devil's advocate, I think he's living a pretty risky life as we speak with his nightclubbing and all of his,
the girlfriend that never dies.
God, but I love that. You know what I mean? Like, how cool would that be? But she would probably pick fights for you that would not be advantageous because, like, her idea of what is possible is way overreaching. She'd be like, "Oh, go ahead and shoot him. My man can take." I'm like, "No, baby, hold on." Yeah, let's talk about this.
Yeah, and the whole thing of her like stepping right in front of him, and he's like, "What?" It's kind of like a thing of like it's almost a thing of there's probably going to be that question of how many times you're going to try and protect me in this. It's like,
yeah, let me be my own man. Stop taking away my masculinity. That's toxic masculinity on Dolores' half, in my point, and I don't agree with it. I think it goes both ways. Let me be my own man. Let me get shot. I can take it.
Yeah, how dare you accuse Dolores of anything? Okay, what's wrong with you? And another thing is
that's a valid question. The second one.
I think he has more questions. He seems to be a semi-confident guy in his masculinity, if that's even a thing in this world.
I don't believe it is. I'm playing it safe and saying nothing exists.
I think Caleb was a surrogate. He's had a baby before, so we'll figure that one out.
It's a legitimate son.
Oh, what movie is that? Junior, where Arnold Schwarzenegger gets pregnant? That shit's so weird.
Well, what about Twins from Danny DeVito's his brother?
Dude, that movie is really good. And they're making a new one now. Somebody else is supposed to be in it with them. Yeah, somebody big. And I can't think of it now. Anyways. Whatever.
We do have 2 more seasons left, supposedly. So we do have to come to the conclusion that we're going to see, Rhea Bone. Do you guys think Rhea Bone's going to get taken down? I think it's going to get taken over. I don't think it's going to get taken down this season.
I wasn't done, and I don't appreciate you.
That's fair. That's a fair. That's fair. I'm sorry.
But I'll answer this question first because I can't put.
I bet you already forgot the first one.
Beers, and I'm kind of lost here. Okay, so no, Real Bone. Yeah, I don't think she wants to crash it. She wanted to release that information. I think what she was telling Logan, she was just kind of not Logan, Liam. She was just reaffirming his thoughts to get him to give her access. He was talking about, I wish I could shut it down. Well, why don't you just shut it down then? It wasn't necessarily that she suggested to shut it down, even though it's kind of portrayed that way. But this would be, unless she's going to wipe out all of humanity in a bunch of nuclear bombs, which would destroy all the rest of anything.
Not me.
Nature is this natural splendor. She doesn't want to destroy all the natural splendor. But there has to be a check there. And Rhea Bone can be used to track hosts. See, I think Dolores might get a little hypocritical at some point.
Yeah, right? I think she's definitely
version of Dolores.
But hear me out. I'm going to go against my theory and say that what did she just do? She just showed the people the system in which they are now going to hate. So how does she become the hero of the people? She destroys it. You know what I mean? There's some credence to that, and that's totally opposite to everything I predicted so far. But I think there is something to be said for that, because it's hey, everybody, look what I let you all see. They're like, oh, you're gonna get rid of that? Nope, still gonna use it. You know what I mean? Well, I guess you could always burn the conspiracy papers. Like the old Caligula and Nero, all the old emperors. Make a big show of taking Rehoboam down and just keep it up. It's fine. It looks like an Amazon sphere, so you could just get something. I'll get a jungle gym, paint it black.
That's okay, unless they do.
Eddie Murphy is supposed to be the third. It's gonna be called triplets.
That's a ridiculous premise. I hope that movie fails.
I had to tell that because DA was like
Eddie Murphy.
Kevin Hart, and I knew it wasn't.
Eddie Murphy looks like he weighs 80 pounds.
Sasuke says she wants Logan to be brought back unless they do a Lost Years of Westworld season or something like that. Then I don't think that's happening.
I think it's happening because I'm going to cater to you, and I think that everybody's story is important, and I think Logan still has plenty of story they could tell. No, I love Ben Barnes, though, and I think that we could get him. I think we're going to get young William and Ben, meaning Jimmy Simpson and Ben Barnes, all jokes aside. I think that in the last season, we're going to get a lot of kickbacks, go back to where we started. And yeah, not like, a living, walking Ben Barnes or Logan, but yeah, I think it's totally possible. He is such a talented actor, underrated.
Yeah, that's what it's like. It'll be like a. It'll be like
see what I see? Oh, sorry.
It'll be like the second to last episode that all of this stuff is gonna show up, basically, or like, but kind of my last question, is. We can assume that Dolores is going back to the park because she's they're on a plane going somewhere. But what does that mean for the end of this season? How did it change from the beginning of what you thought where the story was going to end? The fact that we're going back, presumably, to the park.
To Kelly, back.
John, don't take the thoughts out of my head, you bastard.
Great minds think alike, our fools rarely differ.
I think this is a good thing. I think going to Still Rain's point, I choose to see the beauty in this world, or whatever she says. But if you remember in season 2, she was of several minds about it, and then she decided to go with Wyatt while she's pulling back the trigger of the gun, not the trigger, the hammer of the gun, putting it in that chick's mouth. But she needs to go back to her roots at some point, right? I think this is kind of going to be what it is, even if it's symbolic. She has some sort of plan. Now,
William,
exactly what she's up to, I don't know, but there are other people, there are other pearls in this park that she wants to get a hold of. She needs an army at some point, but she had to drop the first bomb, so to speak. Like, it wouldn't be reasonable for me for her to just go in there with 5 different hosts and try to defeat everyone. Now, from what she set up, she can go in there with a bunch more hosts and infiltrate this chaotic world, because Sirach's got so many things to worry about. The whole world has so many things to worry about, and a few host robots aren't that. The only person that knows about them is Sirach. So it would make sense that this is when she's trying to get a hold of more bodies.
And this is when the simulation comes into play by Sirach. This is where you see simulation, because you have a bag of tricks. His are very limited, other than his good looks, his his savvy dress.
Sexy old dude, ain't it?
He is. He's aging so well. I'm so jealous. I've been, really sword fighting a lot to keep in shape. But yeah, no, it's not working out. No, I think that, she's going back to the roots, because sometimes you got to go back to the farm to beat that, that desperado. So it's, tropey. It fits. You got to go back to where you came from, hit back to the roots, because she's become too much of a big town girl. I'm halfway joking here, but I'm really not. Also, I think that she's going back because there's going to be a situation in which William is going to join the cause. And I think that you are going to have to recruit him. So also, there's a high chance that, I think 99% chance we are going back to the park, but also we've experienced them within facilities in the park, or perceived facilities within the park when they're not really there. And I'm not even talking about simulation. I'm just talking about the meta commentary. So I think that what we'll see is that, this is the episode before the big action set piece. So, we're going to see them going and honing their skills, gathering their forces. Maybe Caleb will finally be like, wait a minute, who the fuck am I? They'll be like, oh shit, he asked. So yeah, some realization.
It's like when he asks that question, it'd be like, you chose it'd be the worst opportune time to actually ask the question, and he'll be like, who am I? And it's like she's in the middle of fight choreography or something, and be like, you are whatever, and then the information just
a Russian boy prostitute. That's what I'd tell him. I'd be like, have fun with that. All right, bye.
It was kind of funny though when he's like, which I think I did use as the picture for the background of the live stream, but it's like when he's just staring at her, and it's like the one moment where he actually, in some real sense besides later, looks at her in a romantic light, because the other times it's kind of like, who are you, like looking at him like a who are you type person, but it's like, wait a second, like The switch of when does this switch come to romantic? I don't know. Probably.
I think that's the thing. He's been blinded by love and like a douche in the night. Blinded by like, but no, like I think that it is. He's not looking at who or what. He's looking at love, and and love is blind. I don't know why. It seems like it's
a TV show, but
a disability.
Love is blind.
Love is blind. I'm like, I'd rather it not be. Love is deaf.
You know, as well, I think Dolores sees something in him. She's guarded, right? She's super guarded after William, period. You know, but I think there's still a piece of that left in her, going back to what Still Rain was talking about. There's still a piece of that country girl, that farm girl that we knew from the beginning.
Wanderlust.
And at this point, too, you know, people are making points like OTDA says that, you know, Maeve and Dolores may team up. Well, we know the unfortunate thing is Maeve's Pearl isn't in the park that we know of. It's in some Insight facility or facility run by Sirach.
Yeah, but I'm under the...
That doesn't take Hector
Go ahead.
and Armistice and all these people out of play as well. And if they do come together in a simulation and they're both conscious and aware of this simulation at the time, there could be some information exchanged. You know, this could be why Dolores would bring back a Hector, why Dolores would bring back Armistice, because they are good fighters for one, and they would be needed in this world, and it also would endear her to Maeve. Like, Maeve loves Hector, right? If Dolores can get Hector out of the park and get him free, or at least more free than he already is, I think Maeve would be very, very grateful for that. We saw how much she loved him.
You think she'll take a piece of that sweet, sweet Hector over the eternal life with her daughter?
Maybe. This is going to be a conflict because her daughter's safe and sound, right? The only reasons for her being with her daughter are selfish reasons.
And Hector,
her daughter has a mother there already.
If she wanted
her daughter has a mother.
Yeah, but
it's weird when you say it. But
yeah. But I like that idea because it's like the back in the saddle again. The boys are back in town, which will make obviously the girls are there too, and because they're the most kick-ass, and it's not even joking, they are like the action from the the cast, both genders, has actually been, I don't praise things like for all these socially correct reasons like out of nowhere. Like I actually think this show does like their action pretty, like, yeah, the fight with Stubbs was kind of silly. I heard he hurt his shoulder though. You know what I mean? But I think they really do use physicality for both males and females very well. I it's cool. I think it's a really cool concept, and I like that because in a simulation too, they can speak with each other if they're all in there. So all in a room, together, so we can plot. Also doesn't take away from the story, and that's why the theory doesn't suck.
And also like Still Rain, and I'll send it to you, Sasha. I'm sorry because this is a good point.
I can't see the chat.
Play episode 8 or next season. Actually, it's going to be this season at some point. Either Maeve is going to get a taste of it. Who's going to give her that taste, Sirach or Dolores? But if Dolores can give her that taste, that would put more in the pot for her to side with Dolores, at least temporarily.
Well, sorry.
But Sirach can also give her a taste of what she could have. This also gives her a reason,
sounds so dirty,
or an opportunity to see her daughter is happy with the mother she has. You go and you don't want to fuck it up with your corruption. You see something you love, and you see that they're happy. And you've been through so much shit. Can you make them any happier? I think that's a human thing that definitely Maeve will go through, because this is what we're drawing conclusions and parallels between humans and hosts here. So I think that's highly possible.
Well, I think that first off, it shows a little bit that you're a sweetheart, and actually that was, all jokes aside, pretty moving, because it is true. Like we sometimes are so insecure and so unsure about like our meaning in others' lives that we feel that keeping ourselves away. And this doesn't go for everybody not paying their child support. So don't try to fall under this chivalric, code that I'm throwing out there. But that's why I'm doing it. It's like, no, I don't believe that's the case. But no, yeah, I think that there's something to be said for there. It's like, they're better off without me. I've said that to a lot of people, and they realized, yes, they were. Yep, it's me, not you. And they're like, yes, it is. I'm like, oh shit, I thought you were supposed to fight me on that. Yeah, so no.
I think with the Sublime, it's showing up because, well, we'll probably talk about it again, but in an upcoming stream or something like that, but or like next week. But there is reference in the next week or episode 6, and then it's like, and it seems like, and it's an episode 6 and beyond trailer where there is this shot of Maeve in the homestead outfit in like this weird, like it's shot differently than the other sequences we've seen, like even in Winterline it's like she's put in front of a screen and it's like her. So I'm assuming we're getting the Sublime like maybe episode 7.
It's going to be the carrot on the stick, but I agree. There's no way that she is going to sacrifice, everything else in this, world for her type of her people. I'm trying to phrase this the right way. There's no way that she's going to tie herself to that evil just to get to the Sublime. They will dangle it on the stick in front of her, and they will try to goat her into it. But Maeve is not that weak, and she's not that stupid. If anything, she'll get that Sublime and give them an empty safe. But also, we have had high amount of foreshadowing for certain. Some things in Westworld are, in my opinion, really, really difficult, but some things are just given to you. That whole she can control electronics, which was host before through the hive mind, or whatever they refer to it as, but it's the same concept. Now it's seemingly all technology. There's going to be technology from a distance that needs to be controlled. There's going to be 2 sets of people going at it, maybe possibly 3. I think that, some people are going to have the information to get there. Some people are going to have the skill set once you get in to crack the safe. There will be a alliance to a point. I mean, it is literally like somebody walking around like with, say, a tree. Or I can't ever do good analogies. But yeah, you gotta like get out of a room, and one person has a key, and the other person, God, I can't do a good one. Well, you know what I mean? They both have what they need. They have to work together at some point, or they have to try to take it from each other. There's opposition there because of what they obtain. They might want to obtain this information for different reasons, but they have skill sets that have to work together at a certain point. Yeah, God, I'll get an analogy, and I'm going to go live later just with like one sentence, and it's still going to be terrible. Sausage Factory. Yeah. Some people in Sausage Factory works for everything.
Yeah, I think there's something that's to that, and Maeve's not going to get what she wants until probably the last episode or the second to last episode of the whole series. Being in the Sublime and all that stuff. It's going to take her until season 5.
I don't even think she wants that. That is so terrifying to me, and I don't want to go. The thought of everlasting life since a child has been so frightening to me. It's the everlasting conversation, number one. And even though I like to talk, fuck that. And also the idea of like never ending. There's something very, very, I don't know, just unnerving about that. So.
Well, also that's the whole crux of real, true vampire movies, right? The fact that immortality is a curse, not a blessing, and that you have to deal with it. You see everyone you love die. You live past things, and you stop feeling so much because experience numbs you, especially traumatic experience. So you get to the point where you get used to shit. As humans, as anything with a mind, seeks things that are new, seeks things that are different. And once you get into the same old pattern, it becomes dull and boring. It's just like chasing the dragon of life. That's really what it is. You can go back to drug analogies because drugs are just a part of life. And this goes back to genre. Drugs don't make you different, they can make you see the world different, but it's still the same type of ride you have during life, except it's shorter. I don't know why I'm coming to this conclusion.
No, it is though. It's so true. It is going down the same road over and over again, and you get bored. So you want that road to at least to at least appear different or feel different, but nothing changes about the road except for it gets shorter. I love it, Johnny. Unless it doesn't. There are some people that just get away with it all. But I'll tell you what, that's not the norm. So, but genre, I think, was the perfect injection into this story because it fits with all the dystopian novels, like I've said before. The name's a little bit on the nose, but hey, we've avoided a lot of Pinocchio and direct Alice. No, we've had quite a few Alice. We've had a lot of the tropes.
Caleb's nose has gotten a little bigger each episode, so I'm just gonna throw that out
I'm gonna
there.
be a real boy, aren't I?
At least the episode.
So Rock equals Geppetto. That pedophilic fuck.
Oh, dude.
If anybody
at
doesn't
least-
think Geppetto is a weird creep, you just go back and watch the original movie, or
Johnny.
just watch it. It wouldn't fly today. I'll tell you that much.
No.
Who builds a wooden boy? Yeah, that's a fucked up
Yeah,
thing to
that-
do, you know?
With a nose that can grow and get erect.
Yeah, he's like, and your
Anyways.
nose will grow. He's like, how's that making me a real boy? He's like, you're a freak. So yeah.
Well, like genre, it's like the most on the nose, I think, title that we've had this season, or and it's in the realm of on the nose for this whole series. But it's not like another TV show, which basically every single title of their episodes of their last season were basically things that happened in the episode. So
No, it's just a passing line from the episode.
yeah.
Like, started watching Lucifer on Netflix. I know I'm late to the party. It's pretty funny, okay? I really hate the filter on the camera. It looks like a soap opera, but the dialogue and stuff's pretty good. So they do that.
My
Yes,
only
Seth,
They do that.
Seth
My-
Rogen produces it, so he's just high as fuck.
My only takeaway, like, I know people probably aren't really wondering too much on our opinion about the
Don't
development.
say that.
of
Don't diminish our value on screen.
the part about the insight. My biggest takeaway from the whole thing is, it's like every other business that we've seen in this show, that the relationship sours, and then one partner dies. I mean, in theory, in the beginning, it was pretty cool, but then as you see, when someone gets more power hungry, they're just like, I want more and more, more and more and more, until we get to the place that we get. What was like something that you like? What was the takeaway from learning the backstory for this company, if at all? Was important?
That it started like all ventures with a just cause in mind, and it's been adapted, and it has been taken over by the money men. It has been put in. It's always nice to have these ideals and these ethical ventures, these just causes. The problem is we put them into a world that's just so fucked that it's like we keep thinking like, oh well, this will be different. It's rarely ever different. So it's like, it's always, when you create something that's powerful, you have to consider what that will be used for in the wrong hands. And I think we think of the wrong hands like, like Die Hard wrong hands, like some terrorist is gonna get. No, just put it in my hands. Put it in anybody's hand. Like, you give anybody power, it appeals to what? The worst. And it's a Ragnar quote. So yeah, I'm short on quotes today. But yeah, it brings out the worst, and it appeals to the weak. So
power's dangerous. It corrupts at worst, and it's only at best.
What are you doing? Rain Man over here. You just blew my mind with that. Did you look that up, Sasa? Or did that come from your head?
Power is always dangerous. It attracts at worst, and it corrupts at best.
yes, that was the one.
That's the
But he
quote
said it
from
all
Ragnar.
Ragnar like. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
too.
because. But good job not covering Vikings this season.
I know.
God, you're so good at Vikings. You're like, no, I'll do Harlots, and I know Harlots is good, but you really have a great time.
We're gonna do it. I plan to do a catch up with Vikings.
It's too late now. Nobody watches Vikings anymore.
No, I
No,
meant
just
when
kidding.
I meant when it comes closer to November, or whenever the frick the season shows up again, like later in the
Yeah.
year.
Oh, who was that famous quote? If you want power, you gotta be willing to bend low enough to pick it up, or
have
stoop
to-
low enough to pick it up.
Sasuke says you have to lower yourself to pick it to accept power.
There's somebody famous that said
I
that.
disagree.
Though, and
I
can't
would
remember.
say, please stand up and hand it to me at an equal level, sir. Napoleon did not let the Pope crown him. He invited the Pope to just pretty much make the Pope his
Yeah,
bitch.
he
I'm not saying he had all the best ideas, but he did make our mathematical systems better, and
Poland
as
was
well as
brilliant
standards.
in some ways.
Yeah, he's like, you come here and you make me emperor. They're, oh, I guess the French are trying every government around. Like, yeah, we're trying all of them in 1 year. So yeah, he wouldn't let him crown him though. Like, he put it on himself. So yeah, you don't have to bend the knee per se. But yeah, no, power is a very interesting, thing, and it's I don't think there's really too many people that can deal with power in a way that doesn't corrupt them to some extent, because power,
Yes.
by definition,
Those
makes you
that
deal
want
with.
it won't take it. Those that deserve it
But yeah,
No,
that's
those-
the old
yeah,
trope. It's
those
that
that want
this
it
is why
with-
you're the one
whatever.
that needs
Anyways,
it.
I can't say it.
It's always like the most inept person that's like, they're like, but this is why you must be the king. I'm like, I'm not qualified, but that's the reason, Justin. I'm like, I'm gonna go crazy with it, just so you know, I'm not a good unqualified. So yeah, no, that is always the trope that like
By
that's
the
why.
power of Grayskull.
Yeah, you know how insulting is it as the hobbits to get the ring? I know I won't go out. Yeah, but you know what I mean. They're like, oh, why can we have it? It's like, you guys got.
They're the most pure characters, right? If you did
Yeah.
a Legolas, you'd create a new.
The
you
quote.
you create a new Sauron, maybe
Yeah.
even more powerful.
Well, if we gave it to people that could actually do something to us that we were intimidated by, you know, then something bad could happen. But if you guys get it, you're no threat. So yeah, you know.
If I get it, the world's gonna go to shit. It's just gonna be a bunch of trash everywhere, nobody doing anything.
Johnny, I
going
don't think
out.
that's true. You give yourself too much credit. I think that your lack of ambition,
Too much?
and yeah, I think that you would be too lazy to actually make anything. I don't think you could
That's
actually.
what I'm saying.
Yeah, you couldn't make it happen. You couldn't ruin the world if you tried. You'd sleep in. You know what I mean? Like, no, I'm joking,
I just be
obviously.
chilling, man.
Yeah, they're
I'm
big.
just
What's that guy
trying to
doing?
have a nice little piece of land with a lake on it, or maybe
Yeah.
on the river. So
You know what I
can
mean?
go retire in peace. and-
Somebody should have gave Hitler, Stalin, all these people, Mao. They should have just gave them a whole bunch of weed. I mean, like, chill the fuck out, man.
So-
Just chill the fuck out.
Yeah, you're getting rowdy in the chat. I just have to say it's fantastic. Katrin C, from my point of view, it is so fantastic to see you. I hope you're having a good morning and you're waking up right. The best part of waking up is a little Folgers in your cup, and I do hope Juan Valdez is out your window. I know those two don't really apply, but
Best part of
you know.
waking up is finding out you didn't die. Yeah, that
that's
sometimes
okay,
happens
yes.
after a long night of partying. Like, oh, I woke up. Okay.
That's okay. Yes, that's part of the quote.
good thing
The,
when you wake up.
the direct and entire quote apparently is power is dangerous. It attracts at worst, and the power it corrupts at best. Power is only given to those who are prepared to lower themselves to pick it up.
What? And
Okay.
I love that, Sarah. And I'm still solid on that. I am like 4 for 4 on that. But I will quote back with great men don't need to prove their greatness by quoting other great men, which is like such a like like a paradox, because it's like, you know, you don't need the great quote great men to prove you are one. I think that was Abigail Adams. Yeah, so like it's so contradictory. But I like to throw it in people's faces. Like, but aren't you quoting somebody? I'm like, shut up. Don't bring that up.
But yes, there's that.
It's all fun.
It's all fun and games until someone gets hurt.
Well,
I'd still say that fun can ensue.
the chat hates us, so talk,
Yeah, they're
Mackenzie.
yelling at you. The chat is apparently yelling at you.
Who?
OTDA.
Well,
Sasuke.
all of them. Can I say really quick that the cat Sasuke says, I didn't say yet, but I think the casting for young Sirach was great. Yeah, the face was great, but they needed to put a pair of 12-inch stacks on him, because it's not believable that Sirach had a growth spurt at around 40.
Yeah, and it made a bunch of
That's all I'm
questions.
saying.
Yeah, of like, oh, is like that's the problem. It's like with those, like Westworld needs to be extra careful when dealing with those types of issues, because they should be aware, but they know they make money off it. I'll be quiet, Sasa.
Plus,
take it away.
Just the timelines
you know,
are a little bit iffy, because if it was 2025 when the explosion of, or the thermonuclear attack on Paris happened, and he was what, 10 years old, maybe bare minimum. So then in 35 he's like 20 or whatever. So it's like the timeline and the age of the old / current Sirach character is a little too old based off of what we're looking at, because he's aged quite a bit in just such a short amount of time. Like, he's aged to, like, he looks older than he should be at his age, though. Like,
yeah,
that's the one sticking point.
Maybe he smoked.
Yeah.
I agree, and people were bringing that up, and it's not like it's not valid, but that's the problem when you have a show that is so deceptive. A lot of times it's for the good, but then when these little things happen, it's like, you know, it spawns off into this whole nother rabbit hole of like, you know, where it's just realistically the actor like didn't even put enough makeup on or stilts, but
it didn't do that. But if there's a question in the chat, let us know. What's your big prediction for, or not big prediction, the thought is that next week, hopefully we get like more action next week. Not saying this episode had no action. They did have a whole action set piece where the poor motorbike died by Dolores' hand. But
Also, the remote controlled dildo. Don't forget about that.
no one can forget that one.
I did. I forgot about that. I don't know what that is.
But we get hopefully we get some answers to what happens with Stubbs and all of that, Bernard. But I feel like next episode's going to be a lot of Maeve, which will be good or bad. Who knows?
I remember somebody talking about how we weren't going to get a lot of Maeve this season, and people were like, no, Maeve's going to be in every episode, and that's not possible. And they said, why would you think that? And I said, oh, only because it's probably what's going to be likely to happen. And, you know, people invoked sentiment into it and made it seem like I don't think her story matters. And I was just being reasonable and realistic. And, yeah, guess what? How much Maeve have we got?
2 episodes worth?
Well, I mean, if you look at it, Maeve's a secondary character, right? I might get crucified for that, but I love Maeve. Maeve's one of my favorite characters, but she's not the main character.
She's not the protagonist. She doesn't drive the narrative. She is a secondary character. I would say that it is a ensemble, so it's. I would put her in the A category, but she still is driven and she is moved and dictated by the actions and the story of Dolores. She layers Dolores' story. She will have a more important part as time goes on, but it is just the way in which Westworld works. They have to keep them separate, and nobody likes hearing that before there, and they like to say that all these things can happen, and they hate when people look at production and like ways of like, hey, they've done production, so let maybe consider that this isn't bullshit. But, you know, you can't want something to be true and will it to be true. I think that it's done, and if we had too much Maeve, it wouldn't be as effective. You know, it's one of those, you know, the diminishing returns type deal. I think that we will get more and more Maeve as the series goes on. So, and we've gotten more than I predicted, but it's been a lot of bottle episodes because of this separation. But my big thing is Liam dead? We didn't answer that. I think there's a chance that he's alive.
But yeah. He could be brought back to life. I mean, this is this show after all, and no one actually dies for real majority of the time. Plus, Caleb's going to be on the run because his hands were all over the Liam's basic T-shirt. So that could be one way to be like, you killed the son of a dead tycoon. So,
well, somebody could have found Liam on the beach, right?
Yep.
That could be a thing. Maybe the cast from Jersey Shore will find it. Sorry.
Yeah.
Jersey Shore. Or the
Snooki finds Liam next episode. I'm calling it now.
God, they could all end up on a beach somewhere, and I would not give a shit.
OTDA has the question of what is the opening scene next episode, in our opinion.
I think definitely I think it's going to be William, Man in Black.
Or Maeve waking up from death, from her recent death. If she's dead, whatever. I don't know. I have to say something different than Justin.
I think...
How dare you oppose me?
It's Maeve, and because we saw Maeve in a World outfit for next episode, it's our introduction of this is a simulation, pretty much. And my add-on question to this is it a cold open like we've had, or is it a regular open where the title sequence and then the episode starts?
I think that we get a cold open with the Man in Black, and then Steel Rain did have a question about, did anyone appreciate the parallel of Serac talking to Rehoboam like Akecheta talks to Maeve? That's one of the my takeaways, and maybe I missed it earlier if we spoke about it. No, we did not. What I did notice was the parallel storytelling with Serac and Philo and Ford and Teresa as a power play about showing your cards. Hey, look at me. I think I've got power in this world. It's like, guess what? This world's a game that I run like Milton fucking Bradley. So like, you know, it's just like, I think it was very much so parallel storytelling. I'm going to rewatch Steel Rain, and I will definitely work on that because you are one of my new Patreons, and I want to do something for you guys and use some of I think there's some intelligence in here that I can put to good use.
Well, it's like an inverse take, right?
Yeah.
Now, however you see Sirach, yeah, he's kind of sociopathic. He does questionable things, at least to normal moral standards. But what is his end goal? It's to save the entire fucking world. So there's a nobility in that, even if you don't really want to admit it. There's a little bit of heroism in that action. Does that make him a white hat, black hat? No, that makes him a gray hat, in my opinion. And this episode really hits that home for us, seeing where he come from, this tragic backstory, just like Hosts, this tragic backstory that molded and defined his entire life. Matter of fact, it shaped the entire world. So I don't think you can get something more powerful than that, where Akichita was this Moses type figure to lead people to the valley beyond. I think Sirach is the figure that I think he's set up as a false prophet to oversee the doom of mankind, and that's almost his curse and burden.
Yeah,
if that's poetic enough for you.
No, it makes sense. There was.
I'm interested on this Seal Rain about this. The connection that I'm seeing with Akacheta and Maeve is that it was basically like this. There was a hurdle in the communication, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it was two separate technologies almost, even though it was just languages, but trying to speak to each other. But they both were trying to share like a moment, and I'm gonna have to rewatch and try to catch that because I find that to be a very, very interesting takeaway. Thanks, Anthony Sirach, just presentation meant you really to have people. There's more veg. Trying to have people though. There's more. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, now because again, I'll admit it when I miss something, and I miss that, and I really want to go back and touch on that because there's a lot of meta commentary, and as much as we can learn about Sirach, that's going to be for the best because we don't know a lot about him. We did get a classic, backstory to a villain because we
saw him vulnerable for the first time this season, this episode.
Everybody loves, everybody hates, everybody just tries to get by. Nobody sets out to ruin the world. They set out with a noble endeavor on a white horse, and they come back with bloodied hands and a lot of death on their mind. So,
Katrin C, from my point of view, has a question.
Love that name.
And it's, will Hale be Hale and stay with her son? So
yes.
Yep.
Can I say simply, yes, and Hale is Dolores's heir apparent to the throne, so to speak. Hale is going to be that connection with Host and humankind, where Dolores doesn't necessarily have that connection yet. But I'll keep it simple because I touch on it in my video.
Yeah, I think. Tease for that video, Johnny. But yes, I think that Hale is going to stay, or Dolores / Hale is going to stay Hale and be with the son because live out kind of that, what you're saying, live out that part of herself, but also too, she is basically now the biggest shareholder of the Delos Corporation percentage that is of still Delos because she has all of his percentage because of when William went to the facility, she kind of took all of his shares, so she's in control.
She's set up to take over the world.
Yeah, that's like getting all the shares of a Blockbuster Video, though. Like, how much could that company be worth? I mean, it's had so many disasters, but I get it in the story.
Sells her insight.
No, it's true. But I do want to touch on the Hale thing because I'm a firm believer, and that's one of the major narratives that they're pushing. Every single pearl that's replicated will be their procreation, and Hale's relationship, meaning Dolores' relationship with Nathan, will tie that next pearl to humanity. The more and more days spent apart, the more and more days spent doing, different activities, experiencing different experiences, and going out and just living life will have these characters diverge greatly. And it's almost kind of poetic in the sense of this wanderlust Dolores, this bloodthirsty Wyatt, this this almost schizophrenic at a certain point until the bicameral mind came into point. Dolores is able to explore all these different wants and needs, and it's like, we're going to see the daughters of the Dolori, the granddaughters of the Dolori, and I truly believe that, because it would only make sense. I think if you would replicate each pearl even a year after its original replication, meaning from a year from this Dolores replicating into Musashi, Hale, and Cullen's, you would have another replication period. Obviously, Cullen's kind of counted out right now because of the whole getting blown up. I still think the Pearl could still be there, but you would have drastically different incarnations and creations, because what more is a person other than the DNA in which they're passed and the nature and nurture in which they receive.
That's it. The ultimate question of nature versus nurture right here. We'll see that play out.
I nurture nature.
We've been seeing that, but this is almost a blank slate that you can see how much the original gets changed by their experiences, which we know happen.
And Steel Rain also brings up, unless it's a lie and Serac is really Arnold's child. I hate that, but also I think there can be an embracement of that with Bernard wanting to have a relationship, because
Charlie.
with Nathan, because there's a part of him that wants to be a father. It doesn't need to be with Charlie, because Charlie, he was such a jerk and he died. I hate him. No, it's a
Grandpa Bernard for Nathan. That's what I'm calling.
Yeah, he's a perfect grandpa. I wish Jeffrey Wright was my grandpa. If he stopped tweeting so much, even though I agree with what he's saying, but he needs to stop tweeting so much. No, I know it was a joke, Steel. Steel, I know it was a joke, but it's touching on something I've said somewhere. I've been really implying that I think Bernard would definitely be a prime candidate to take apart. So even though you were joking in that, I think there's truth to it. It doesn't have, that's what it's kind of like. Again, I promise I will stop ranting, but this is what I talk about when people keep talking about simulation. You can achieve the emotion, you can achieve the story and convey what you're trying to convey without that nonsense. You don't need these people to be separate. Like, that's why I loved what you said, because you can achieve that through Bernard. It doesn't need to be Charlie. Why does Nathan need to be Charlie? It makes, you know what I mean? So I took it as jest, but I love it because
Charlie is Charlie. That's Charlotte Hale. I mean, come on, this theory's been around since the beginning of time. Is it gonna ever play out? I don't fucking think so, because there's no point in it. Oh, I see Dolores as someone who used to be my daughter. That makes me do what? Bernard's already compassionate toward everyone. He's the compassionate figure here. He's got empathy on both sides. So I don't think there needs to be, the connection needs to be with Nathan, an actual human, I think.
Yeah, it's just like,
if there's any connection.
He's like, I can only love that one kid. You know what I mean? Like, it's the need to to be a mentor, as he's been before. He's a mentor for all the hosts, and they suck. So why don't we give Nathan a dad, because he seems to be in a little bit of a dysfunctional. Maybe Child Services should look into Ray Bowen and borrow that, because I don't think he's being taken care of. So
I wonder what happened with the dog. That's another question.
Dead, for sure, dead.
Question for another time.
His dad acts in every shit TV show I've ever seen in my life, almost.
That's true.
So he's too busy to be a father. No,
he's really
sorry, I'm gonna shut up till the end of this.
No, it's okay. But yeah, we've been going for a while now, and it's been fun, as always, with these two, having a conversation, especially about a complex TV show like Westworld, where it makes you think 50 different possibilities at one time.
Not me. I just focus in on what I want to be right, and I'll do everything possible to do selective research to make sure my theory's right at the sacrifice of the story, and so I can be like, ha ha ha, look at me.
Theory videos.
I'm joking. Yeah.
Theory videos are a topic that we can discuss another time again.
Yeah, we'll do it off air, else I'll lose subscribers. Yeah,
but I think that we've been
Gilmore Girls connection.
Gilmore Girls. But yeah, we've had a good chat. I ran out of my questions because I just wanted to have a more flow of a conversation, but
well, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And Mackenzie told us not to let her talk tonight, everybody. So
yeah, she said to be misogynistic and just shut it. She's like, you better make sure I don't speak. I'm like, I don't really want to do that. She's like, no, you better be rude. So yeah, no, it's hard with us.
you guys, you start singing in the beginning and then all of that fun stuff. But
Those peanut ears.
exactly. This episode was good. I'm interested to see what happens next week. For me, the video.
Not for me.
For me, anyway. The video for my video for this is probably will come out tomorrow. I've been just having problems with it. Stupid technology sometimes. But I guess.
They can hear you.
Everybody now they're just saying that they were just trying to be funny.
Oh, I love say they're just taking. Oh, I want to tell somebody to jog on.
Started about now, so.
Huh?
Jog on is a phrase that like.
Trying to talk at the same time.
Fuck off, Johnny. Jog on. I was just taking a piss. You know what I mean? No, I'm just joking. I love. Hey, listen, the unconditional love that I have for these two is something that they should actually be worried about. You know, I would fall on my sword for them.
I'm worried.
Which is in the corner.
Photos I get behind the scenes.
Yeah, it is so disturbing.
Fellatio abound.
No, don't make me look like that. We'll wait and see.
I didn't say whose fellatio it was.
The
know,
the photos.
We're not gonna let them know.
It's
whether
fellatio
I'm
with the
power
lower
bottom or
eye,
you're the
okay?
power bottom. But
All
I
in
do
all,
generate
yeah.
a lot of force.
Well, the Wednesday's the fun stream. The Wednesday's,
Yeah.
you know, let's talk it out, because at this point we've already talked about it a few times, and we're gonna make videos, and then we're gonna fail to make that video, and then try to make another video, and then by the end of the week you'll get a compilation of videos, and I will have a few less hairs on the top of my head. No, it is, yeah, we all talked. I talked about it. So yeah, the sword through the belly. I'm not ruling it out, though. OTDA. You know what I mean? That's like, think about that. That's something to be said. They can be like, well, at least, you know, he went out. Like, you know, I guess, you know, I know that's not a good option. I'll figure something else out next week.
Yeah.
You need to make sure you have a sword in your hand, so you got to buy a hollow.
That thing's fucking so dull.
Yeah, you gotta die with the sword in hand.
I almost died with that sword. You guys, I swear on my life, and that's not a smart thing for me to do. But yeah, I swear to God, when I was looking to get the tack nails in my garage for this fucking stupid sword, so there's something I thought I saw, and I thought it was a mouse, and I got scared because I will fight somebody with a knife. I swear to God, I've been in some pretty, like, you know, I'm not gonna brag, but I've been in some tuffles. You know what I mean? But I will not touch a rodent or anything like that, or a spider. So I got really scared, and I almost fell right on this thing and impaled myself. So my eulogy would have been like, he died like he lived, like a scared little pansy.
But wasn't it because it was a cat?
It was like either, I just thought it was anything. This spooked me, like, you know, honestly, like it just scared, and I almost fell, and I got like that breath taken out of me, and I thought, first off, oh my God, that would have hurt. Second off, that's the worst possible way to die. That story sucks. You know what I mean? Like, it's either going to be turned into some terrible story, like where it is a suicide, or it's going to be turned into exactly what it was, which might be worse. He fell getting tack nails to hang his fake sword for his YouTube channel. Terrible.
There was a Dynamo. I think that's right, in Japan, you know, a feudal lord or whatever, back in ancient Japan, and it was rumored that he got killed by a ninja while sitting on the toilet. Well, not a toilet, but it was in an outhouse. And the ninja either put a spear or a sword up his asshole, and it slowly killed him after that. Now, official reports show that he died of stomach cancer. But
that's what I would like.
Interesting, because his stomach cancer got bad and was known apparent after he took that shit. So either way, the shit is legendary. So there was either a ninja hiding in the cesspool that was under this box, or the guy just got really fast.
But it is such that is seriously, take my story to heed if you take anything from this, guys, because think about this. I swear to God, I have fallen off a roof that's 17 feet tall. I've had so many traumatic accidents that it's not even funny. Survived them all like it was fucking nothing. This almost killed me. When you see somebody died in some stupid way, don't assume anything. You know, give them some benefit of the doubt and think it could have been them just trying to hang their badass sword up so you guys can see it on YouTube. You know, like you can come so close to dying in the most embarrassing way. If I die like that, my eulogy don't even honor me. have everybody go by and just fucking flip me off.
Yeah,
so.
we already know that.
OTDA says stomach cancer made worse by the 12-inch blade slicing through his anal tissues.
But who's not
Sorry,
to say that a stomach wound isn't a symptom of stomach cancer? I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I think there might be a case there. Okay,
By
I'll stop.
steel rain. No problem.
Yeah, I'm gonna die in a very, very embarrassing way. Most likely, I'm fucked.
I'm so sorry.
You know.
Yeah, well.
It happens.
He died doing what he loved.
But we also know that you want your YouTube channel to have subscribe for 10 minutes on loop. So.
No, always subscribe. And yeah, like always subscribe. And then always claim it's
always
a better
subscribe,
channel.
even if it's a racist channel. It doesn't matter. Just always subscribe. Anything you ever watch, always. Sorry.
I want you to also say that it's better. It's not going to have any content, but when there's other YouTubers, say Justin Thomas's video was better. Like, just keep claiming it. Just blindly. Blind faith in the channel. Be like, actually, it might get better after I die, to be honest. I'm not saying it won't. So, I can only go up from here.
You're inspiring me to make a Justin did it better meme or a GIF.
God. Yeah. All right. No more swords to the stomach. Let's, honor our gracious host, the princess right here, the queen, really the head of our crew, our gang, Mackenzie here. You ordered me to kill, even, with that sword. I got you. So you just say the word. I'll go up there in Canada and take care of them. Those Mounties can't catch me. They can. They can. I've had my ass beat
the hockey players might catch you.
Yeah, take it off air because I'm going to keep revealing things.
They tar and feather you, but the tar is maple syrup.
Thank you guys all for joining us today to talk about Westworld. And we'll talk to you guys next week. Justin has a live stream on Sunday with, who's your special guest?
Jason Schenkel from the Nadercast. And then Johnny B. Crazy, as well as Hex Dogma. And then I'm also doing another week of the Westworld Theory Cast because W. Axel Foley said he's going to pod the world. And that is slowly catching up to him. He's doing 3 separate Westworld casts, so I'm more than happy to help him out, and it was really fun. Check it out on my channel. Also, keep me alive by subbing because that sword, every day is a danger, guys. Cherish these moments. All right, we'll see you soon. You think I talk a lot now, but it's going to have to last you for the rest of your life.
And then Johnny.
Hey, get me to 1,000 subs so Justin can be a proud papa, even though I'm his father.
On Twitter.
It's complicated, okay, but all you need to know is we take weird pictures together.
No, we don't. It's not weird. It's Photoshop.
Just
cut that. We're going to lose subs. Stop.
But Johnny's got a video coming out. I just know that.
No, he doesn't. It's bullshit. It's a lie.
And then go support Johnny on Patreon too if you want fun videos and podcasts and all of that fun stuff. And then for me, I have my video eventually coming out, as well as I'm on Patreon and on Facebook. Just the support, like Katrin supports me on Patreon, means a lot to me, so as Justin places out, we'll see you guys next week. Bye.
You said it didn't mean a lot to you, remember?
Hey, Rod Dammit. Thank you, Rod Dammit. I just like saying Rod Dammit. Rod Dammit.
If I wasn't Rod damned. Yeah.
Contrary to popular belief, the support in any way means a lot to me. So we'll see you guys next week.